So, hi, I'm BirdBoy2000. Welcome to my virtual Isekai panel. Now, people say Isekai anime is new, and people get tired of how much it is sometimes. And putting Isekai in the title is new, and there's a consciousness of the genre that hasn't always existed. But on the other hand, in late 1990s, Fox Kids aired 3 different Isekai anime dubs. It's People have been making anime where characters get sucked into another world for a long time, and they even do say isekai in the older ones, though some also say ijigen for another dimension, or betsu no sekai, another way to say another world. But characters have been going back and forth for a long time. That said, they haven't been going back and forth because they got reincarnated. Instead, you get there by being summoned. And usually when you're summoned, you're a legendary hero, you've been summoned for a reason, there's some prophecy, you're supposed to save the world. But you don't always know that right away. The summoner doesn't always show up. And when they do show up, they're often lying or have ulterior motives or aren't really on your side. It's not like Kazuma meeting Aqua and then goes on a quest, defeats the Demon King, everything's fine, and Aqua's not jerking him around. It doesn't work like that. And because you're alive in your homeworld, you're often wondering, why are we here? How do we get home? And if there's more than one season, they usually go back and forth. It's weird, but like Rare, Digimon 02, they summon them more than once. Why not? And I say we and them because being summoned alone doesn't happen all the time. Usually there's a group, and sometimes they're people you barely know, and they become your best friends. Sometimes they're your best friends, but they don't stay that way. The other world changes a lot getting into this kind of situation, but usually there's some kind of link between whoever you get summoned with, and it's powerful one way or the other. So let's take a look at one of these.
この世界セフィールを助けて伝説のマジックナイトたちよ何これ大きなトビウオのようですわねどうなってるんだ一体ここはどこなんだ
The Magic Knights are not the only characters to literally fall when they get summoned either. So, let's start from the beginning. Aura Battle or Dunby. I'm not actually sure it's the first. Because I haven't seen like every 60s and 70s anime, but I can't think of an alternative, and it's what people answer whenever it gets brought up. So, Yoshiyuki Tomino did it, was the director, so you can blame him for this along with Real Robots. If you don't like Isekai anime, it's all Tomino's fault. And he uses aura machines. If you've seen Gundam, they're kind of like new types. In fact, you've got aura being their source of power instead of robotics and such, so you can do a lot. It fits better having all that emotional power stuff than and psychic communication than in a real Gundam show. And there's a lot of focus on nationality. You've got characters get pulled into Dunbine's world, Beist and Well, from different countries. You've got a bunch of very clearly defined kingdoms in Beist and Well itself. And, well, what happens when countries don't agree and are willing to use force to settle their differences? And that's another theme. Force and power and war itself being terrible comes up a lot in this show. And here are some characters, here's their nationalities, and home states. Shozama is the only Japanese character. But you've got 3 Americans from 3 very different parts of the country, and Tomino is aware of regional differences, though a couple of the things don't come off as quite correct. And also, check out the names. This is totally normal for a Tomino show, but still, you've got characters named Marvel, Frozen, and Shot Weapon. And now, Biced and Well, the setting. Isekai anime in this time period, the expectation is you have a unique setting, a unique world. You can't just throw it into a generic MMO and expect your thing to get made. And this kind of sets the tone with the very interesting thing with you've got this low technology level, usually. You've got cavalry, and they ride unicorns instead of horses, because why not? You've got castles, and then you've got these super advanced mechs, which are way too destructive for the setting, and it kind of shows. And you've got Ferrario, like on the bottom left, Chunhao, and more powerful ones who summon show in the first place, and link the worlds together, banish characters and such. And the other interesting thing is, it's kind of an afterlife. Like, they call it a resting place for the soul, but people still die in it. So, like, is it really a peaceful afterlife? Or is it like another... It's another world, but it's like... Cosmologically, there's this idea that it's not quite separate. Which is, I guess, as close as you get to reincarnation, but... it's interesting. And, well, let's go there. It's got its own cosmology and such, so let's see it.
バイストンウェルの世界には太陽も月もない。しかし夜月に似た光るものを見ることのできるところがいくつかある。青白く光るこの光は月ではない。天空にある海底に生息する深海魚の群れが集まり、大きな塊となってバイストンウェルの世界を照らしているのだ。
Even the sky is different here. So in Dunbine and in Digimon 02 and Fushigi Yugi and a lot of shows from this period, they go back. Because when you're trying to save this other world and the villain gets too strong, sometimes you lose, and sometimes they aren't satisfied with one world. So, and even when you don't have, like, a full-fledged arc, you've got people worried about what will happen to Earth. Because all the interesting powers the other world has, we can't do anything about it. Police, military, they often show up, and if they do, they just lose. They can't do a damn thing. And you've got villains, expansionist villains. You want to take over one world. Well, do that. Take over the other. Use one world's powers to conquer the other. Tsuvamdamon's destiny. Nakado's never satisfied. It's really common to just want to take over both worlds. And you make new friends in the other world. And sometimes they're really confused when they go back to Earth. Everything that's weird for you in the other world is just as much that's weird for them if they come back with you. And an interesting thing in Digimon and Fushigi Yugi is time. You go back to Earth, and time goes faster, or it goes slower, or what have you, and then it's an interesting way to do, like, time skips and arc changing, and things can go really, really wrong when you're gone from the other world and you haven't saved it yet. And will Earth be safe if we lose? Even if you're fighting, whichever world you're fighting in, it's always a concern. So let's see some of the Earth arcs. You've got people meeting their parents, and sometimes it doesn't go so well.
アイストウェルにいたからって言ったってすぐに分かっちゃもらえないだろうな。
ショー